Gentlemen, something super interesting happened this week, and something came from the great beyond of cancellation as far as pilots, in that we got the leaked trailer for the the Powerpuff Girls TV show, that live action that we were supposed to get, but was so bad, supposedly it got canceled when executives saw the pilot.
Well, it was missing that secret ingredient.
Oh yeah, if there was only some letter or some name for it.
So I guess I'm curious for both of you, when you hear about these IP, fandom related TV shows that fail on the spot, right? Is that a good thing? Is that something we're happy about? Because I'll be honest, I watched this trailer and I was like, if we called this anything other than the Powerpuff Girls, I'd be like, okay, sure, this belongs on the CW somehow.
Sure.
But like, Rich, I'm curious from your perspective watching this, what was the feeling? Are you happy that this never saw the light of day, or are you like, give me more?
I love the Powerpuff Girls when I was growing up. I also loved Donald Faison, and that was an absolute treat just to see him in anything. He still looks as young as he did in Clueless, which is a little alarming at this point. But yeah, I don't know. This is like why we do the end of our podcast every time. It's like, can this be made today? Should this be made today? That kind of stuff. And we are, I would say, overwhelmingly negative on the should this be made today kind of thing, I would say, just like throughout the course of the podcast. I'm not excited about anything nostalgia porn anymore. I just can't do it. What about you guys?
I mean, for myself, I think it just comes down to the idea of there's so many options out there when it comes to what we can or can't watch, that I'm now getting into that stage of my content viewing where I'm just like, do I have the time for this? Is this worth my 20 to 30 minutes of viewing time to be able to sit down and watch an ode to the Powerpuff Girls?
We made this a job. Is this worth my time of content viewing? It's such a
Hey,
cursed
so I
sentence.
got a question about this pilot that never made it to air. Is Miss Bellum in the teaser? Is Miss Bellum in the trailer?
No, Miss Bellum.
I'm out.
They turned Mojo Jojo into a father-son duo rather than having
Mojo and Jojo.
Yeah, they had it be Mojo, the Mojo Senior, and then his son Jojo. Like, it's one of those things where maybe it is okay to just let the cartoon be the cartoon, and we don't need a live action series.
Yeah, I don't need live action discourse around the portrayal of him.
This time around it's actually her. It's the musician her.
Oh, the singer who just pops up at award shows?
Exactly.
Oh, okay, got it.
It does bring into question, right? Like, Invincible is going on right now, the newest season, and the final episode will have debuted the day that this podcast comes out of the third season. And there is a lot of talk about turning Invincible, which is very successful as a cartoon, into a live action series, because that actually was the original intention when Seth Rogen started show running it, was to make it into a thing on the screen. And then Robert Kirkman was like, why would we do that? Let's just make it a cartoon. It's a little bit easier. We can get a lot more famous voices and stuff to be the voices because they don't look like the characters.
Yeah.
And now Amazon is like, wait a minute. What if we also double dipped and made the same exact show, but for live action, because people will want that? And I'm sort of left here thinking, like, what if we didn't and we made something?
I am not putting a lot of thought, and this is a media podcast. Like, I should probably think about this more and like give people a little bit more credit, but I'm not really putting a ton of thought into the guy who made Sausage Party, and like his creative exploits right now. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
No, I think we should let Jeff Bezos buy out Seth Rogen for $1 billion as well.
Yeah, just fund Seth Rogen and let's see what he does. Because I'll say this: Invincible fucking slaps. We'll do it on this podcast eventually.
Oh man, Seth and his brother Joe just getting really big buyouts lately.
Hello, passengers, and welcome aboard the TV Pilot's License with service to paradise. We ask that you please fasten your headphones, secure your podcasting device, and remember that on today's flight, we will be serving Garcia's Pozole. And, you know, if you buy one, you get one. So it's Bogo Pozole. Welcome to the TV Pilot's License. My name is Geoff Kerbis, joined by Rich Inman and Max Singer. How you boys doing today?
I can't believe you just said my Secret Service code name on the podcast opening. What are you? You're putting me at risk.
Yeah. Jeff, this is a podcast about peace and harmony.
Oh my gosh. Well, boys, this week we are going to talk about Hulu's Paradise, which you might have seen on TikTok, you might have seen on X or whatever social media platform you follow. But before we do so, Max, do you mind telling folks what this podcast is all about?
That's right. Though it's cold and lonely in the deep of night, I can see paradise on the Hulu Live. Welcome to TV Pilot's License, where we talk about the pilots of some of TV's most famous, or in some cases, infamous shows. We learn more about how these shows came to be and were originally made, if they're effective pilots and making us want to watch more, if they can be made today. Go back and stream our old episodes from wherever you listen to podcasts. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok to see our smiling faces. And if it is your first time flying with us, then welcome aboard.
And Rich, what is your question of the week?
Howdy, podcast fans. I want to know, and I want to just like put out a little bit of a spoiler alert for this entire episode. We don't normally do shows that are brand new, but we've been doing them a little bit lately, and we're going to be doing a couple more coming up. So if this is a show that you are interested in watching the pilot, I would say watch the pilot first. We are going to spoil some things. We're going to talk about the whole thing. That's what we're here to do. So this is your mark to pause the podcast and watch the show if you want. Yeah.
We'll wait right here.
Yeah, here's 48 minutes of dead air.
No, Rich, we have to pause.
Okay.
Great podcasting right now.
So Rich, you are 75th in line. Okay, so my question of the week is, if you were in an apocalyptic event, again, spoiler alert, would you rather live and try to figure out how you rebuild society or exist in the society that exists then, or would you rather die? This is the grimmest question of the week that I've had so far. I'm in a weird place. Answer my question.
All right, I'm going to say die. Jeff, you.
Yeah, I'll say live. And that was Rich's question of the week. No, in all honesty, I do think that there is something really, really interesting to the idea of starting over, right? Starting fresh and trying to correct maybe some of the errors that were made in the past when building a society. Maybe capitalism being one of those. So I think that there is an opportunity here. And like, do I think that I'm one of the most important 25,000 people in the world right now? No. Maybe if this podcast does better, so make sure your friends subscribe. Yeah. But I do think that
Joe and Seth Rogen, if you're listening, have us on.
Yeah, Seth Rogen, please come on.
Yeah, I don't know if humanity operates in the IMDb star meter kind of world, where like we're all just on a giant star meter when you think about it.
Max, it does though.
I guess to elaborate on my no, am I in a situation where there is comfort in humanity, or am I in like a Last of Us situation where there's mushroom zombies that are trying to kill me at every turn, in which case I'm a hard out. Yeah. But if it's just a situation where everything else is good, there's just a fraction of the population left, I'm probably still a no.
Yeah, okay. Like if this is a day after tomorrow situation where like everyone, was it that the one where they all live on a boat until the water recedes? Because
you're thinking Noah's Ark. Yeah.
Was that 2012? There's a lot of apocalypse.
No. Noah's Ark was a long time ago, dude.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think that there are very different types of apocalypses that exist out there based off of media. If we are going based off of the idea of what we just watched, I think I might be intrigued by the concept of it, but it also then, which we'll talk about, we'll be talking a little bit about the idea of at what cost do you get to move forward and move on, and how that affects you. So, Rich, we've been talking a lot about our thoughts about living post-apocalyptic apocalyptic lifestyles. What is your thought on that?
Oh, dying, buddy. We have the infrastructure that we rely on to live our lives comfortably. Water, electricity, heat, food, gasoline. Like, it is. I mean, I guess you don't really have all that many places to go during an apocalypse unless you if you have no prey, if you have no predators, I should say. But we're going back to caveman times. That is like whoever can hold the most resources wins. I mean, it's kind of like it is now. But yeah, no way I'm sticking around for that. I don't even like camping for longer than 3 days.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for your question of the week. Let's talk a little bit more about Hulu's Paradise. And we'll start off with a quick synopsis. It's just another day in paradise until Agent Xavier Collins discovers one of the world's most powerful individuals has been viciously murdered. Well, the cat's out of the bag, boys. We're going to be talking about murder today, but before we do so, Max, can you tell us a little bit more about how this show got made?
Hulu's Paradise. It's time to tell you a little more. Hulu's Paradise. All right. Thank you to Ed Wilson and Mike Dean for that. Today we're talking about the pilot of Paradise titled Wildcat is Down, which originally aired on January 26, 2025 on Hulu. And we're talking about the show's creator, Dan Fogelman, a little bit. Perhaps best known for NBC's hit This Is Us, Fogelman is also the writer behind films like Cars, Fred Claus, Bolt, Tangled, The Guilt Trip, and Crazy Stupid Love. Additional
that
TV
is all over the place.
This is the second week in a row we talked about Cars. Ka-chow. Additional TV shows Fogelman is behind include Gallivant, The Neighbors, Grandfathered, and Pitch. Development on Paradise began in 2022 when Fogelman's team reached out to Jonathan Mice, a sociology professor at Boston University who had given a TED Talk on inequality and meritocracy Fogelman had seen. Over 6 months, Fogelman and Mice discussed social sciences and outlined the world and politics for the show that would go on to become Paradise. In April 2023, Hulu commissions the show with a straight-to-series order through Fogelman's overall deal with 20th Century TV. Filming commenced in Los Angeles in April of 24 and served as a This Is Us reunion with star and producer Sterling K. Brown. This show also serves as a Crazy Stupid Love creative reunion with the directing duo of John Requa and Glenn Ficarra helming today's pilot.
Hell yeah.
That
I love Crazy Stupid Love.
Insane. If you were to tell me we were going to be talking about the Santa Claus as well as Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, no. Fred Claus, my friend.
Fred Claus, excuse me. Fred Claus, Crazy Stupid Love, and this show in the same sentence, I'd say you're on something.
Now, you guys are aware of the theory of cars exists in a post-apocalyptic world where all the cars have been mutated, the humans are dead, right? So this is actually Fogelman's second apocalyptic show.
Yeah, we all know that.
We all know that theory, yeah.
If that turns out to be the post-apocalyptic event that actually happens in this show, and this is in the Cars universe, chef's masterpiece, like all the kisses.
So the cars are all on the surface, and then I won't give away any more.
Let's talk a little bit more about this show. And let's start off with the opening and the establishing shots of Sterling K. Brown is the star of this show. This show very much centers around Sterling K. Brown. And
his face takes up 75% of the screen for 75% of the show.
And his abs are the other 25% of your screen.
Right.
Sterling was getting in his steps for sure before he was filming this pilot. But I'm curious from the perspective of you two. The opening of this is very much, it's just another day. You have a man who very much lives in routine based off of things like getting up at 5:15 in the morning, going on his morning run, seeing and saying hi to his neighbor, an idyllic neighborhood that he is running around as well, seeing and running into a coworker. And it just seems on its front very normal, but also, we talk about TV shows. There has to be something different that is happening that's the reason why we are here today. That is why we have been dropped into this moment in time. And I'm curious if either of you were sort of eased into the concept of this pilot, or were you just waiting for the other shoe to drop?
It felt a little too Stepford Wives for me. I would like for me to be like, I knew something crazy was about to happen. Like that was not, there was nothing about, you don't watch anyone go on about their day on TV. Like they don't just put that on there. Something weird's about to happen. But I think we're following yet another week. I'm going to talk about Severance. We're following another pattern of like, I know Severance wasn't the first show to do this, but it's kind of like an unraveling pilot of just like, here's something. We're not going to tell you what it is. We're going to show it to you over a very slow, gradual period of time. What's actually happening here? It's just, it just felt like that was it's very of that ilk, I would say. What do you think, Max?
Well, I think it's the 10-hour movie phenomenon of TV where nothing in this feels like your typical pilot where we're building out the world. We're meeting a lot of people really quick. Like this is a slow unraveling. It feels like the beginning of a feature in a lot of ways. And obviously Fogelman, very established, cinema writer, Requa, very established cinema director. And it feels like we're teasing the beginning of a movie. And so for me, it's this slow burn. But if you want to start to make today feel different, a really good line to do that is just to have someone say, Mr. President.
Yep.
Like that just immediately raises the stakes. I don't even need to know what comes after Mr. President. You can say anything after Mr. President, but it's raised the stakes to a point where now I'm interested.
Yeah, and I think that there's something to Rich when you were talking about the Stepford Wives, right? And that this show, the opening feels extremely sterile. And extremely organized. Almost
love that WB lot, baby.
But the moment that everything changes, right? There's two moments. One, we get some poop humor, which I wasn't expecting, but almost sort of needed. Billy in this episode was a odd duck as far as the rest of the cast, but also welcomed comedy. But then we also find out there's been a murder, and it's
what?
A murder most foul.
And I love that while we never meet the James Marsden's character of Cal, who was the president, alive, we instantly get that moment of almost the first meeting between Xavier and Cal to establish what the chemistry was and what the relationship was between these two people. And before I let Max or Rich talk about this, I just got to say, the chemistry between these two characters is why I can see that this show was taken from a pilot into a series, because it is phenomenal. If you're not into this type of show normally, just watch the pilot for the chemistry between Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden, because I was bought in immediately from that first scene.
Well, Jeff, you mentioned a flashback scene, and what? You thought Dan Fogelman of This Is Us was going to write a drama in normal linear fashion? You stupid idiot. You idiots. You bozos. No, we're talking non-linear storytelling. We're talking flashbacks and present days and everything in between. You want to write a Dan Fogelman pilot? You take all of your cards of all of your beats and you throw them in the air, and then you just organize them, and that's how you write a Dan Fogelman show.
Hell yeah. You turn that TV on, you throw away your clock right now.
So let's talk a little bit more about this flashback scene, though, because I think that this flashback gives us a really good sense of not only the chemistry between these two actors, but also the relationship between them as well. And the thing that I point to directly is the first line that James Marsden's character says to Sterling K. Brown is, "Take your shoes off," right? And it is almost, it's very just like out of nowhere.
Sure.
And we later see that Sterling K. Brown's shoes were untied. And it is very much that I am a soldier. I am very much in this moment here to do whatever you say, and I will listen and I will complete it. And it seems that it has taken a negative effect on their relationship as we move forward in the pilot. But I'm curious if you both were as bought in as I was after this job interview of sorts that we see in the Oval Office. Richard, nodding your head yes. I want to hear more.
Oh, yeah. James Marsden dropping the shoes off prank line was so funny to me, and then following that up with, I got the last guy to sit on the floor. Like, I could not stop laughing at that. Do you think, like, God help us if any of the three of us get the presidency, but
That's not fucking happening.
I mean, you gotta, like, how could you not fuck with people, right? Like, I saw it felt very reminiscent of like when Obama was in office, because he used to like screw with Secret Service agents like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it shows that James Marsden's character is human in the same way that Sterling K. Brown joking around with Billy, it was very human. It was like, I know that I am a guy. I am just a guy. And I know that I'm tasked with something that is far beyond something a guy should really be tasked with. It made it felt very like friendly, like workplace friendly. It was like, we know that there is this line of formality between us. You have to call me sir. I have to call you Agent Collins, etc. That is like, that won't change, but we're about to spend a lot of time together. Like, it's the same way that Martin Sheen would talk to I'm gonna lose my mind for forgetting his name, his bagman in The West Wing, if you guys remember, the guy who was on Psych.
DeLay Hill.
DeLay Hill, thank you. Wow, that's embarrassing. I can't believe I forgot his name. It's very much that. It's like, I know that there is going to be this veil of like, this is the office, I have to be this guy, but we're cool. I like you said, Jeff, like, watch the show strictly for the chemistry between Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden.
So we get this amazing chemistry, right? But then this show has many different tones that it takes. And Max, I'm curious for you, when you see the switch from, we get this Stepford Wives sort of tone in the beginning, we see a murder, we get this political thriller tone from this interview, and then we immediately go into drama investigation, like 24-esque vibe with some very interesting camera shooting. How do you feel about that? And like, are you feeling a little bit of a whiplash from going from theme to theme?
I wouldn't say that I'm feeling whiplash. I think that they do a good job of clearly identifying the times that you're in, so that you understand like how we're moving through the story and how we're choosing to tell it. I think it is interesting how slow we unravel things, though, and how fragmented we speak, and it's a lot of code words, things that we get to understand why certain code words are being used and what their meanings are as the episode goes on. But essentially, we have a dead body, but not just any dead body. We have a robbery, we have a safe, and a separate secure black box that have been raided, and we have a lockdown, and we have nothing else really beyond that. And we're kind of just like piecing everything else together as if it's just a normal day. Like, this is so on the level, under wraps. It doesn't have that big, heightened, bombastic feel. We're not doing, over the top espionage. It's very calm. It's like almost concerningly calm. And I think all of Paradise wants to lull you into senses of security, that like everything is on the level, everything is under control, so that when it does choose to kind of pull the rug out from under you a little bit, it feels wilder.
Yeah, I think, Max, we talked about this like quite a bit on the show about the 10-hour movie aspect of so many of these shows being made right now. Hurry the fuck up. I'm sorry. It's just like, what about our nature to have a clean 10 episodes is so compelling to everyone. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. It could be 12. It could be 6. It could be, 24. If you want to do 24 episodes in the season, like they used to do with Friends and stuff like that, do it.
But and every episode should be an hour in real time.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, Rich, is we'll talk about history of the show in a bit, but this is an 8-episode season. So and episodes
We're
range
just making
anywhere
up numbers now.
from like 48 to 54 minutes. So there's not really much continuity amongst these episodes. As far as, let's talk about the political aspect of this, because during our investigation, right, this investigation scene, we start to get a lot more exposition of these characters and a lot more understanding of these characters. And I think one of the really interesting things that this show has done is, while James Marsden is the president, he got elected, and it sounds like he got elected to his second term, barely, even though he is one of the richest men in the world, and there's some clues that are given to us. He's not really the greatest guy, if that makes sense. There's all of these clues that he may or may not have a drinking problem due to the stress of the job that he has. He potentially is racist, which is like, the show does not really skirt around. They sort of address it head on in that interview scene. And it seems like he does not have a good relationship with his family either. Is that compelling to you, to take this person of authority in the current age that we're in and say, let's make him not the most likable?
Oh, see, I think we had different takeaways here, because I saw this guy who, you know, he drinks whiskey, he smokes cigarettes, he talks about college basketball, he takes some strays at Golden Doodles, which I didn't appreciate, but basically we're asking, what if a U.S. president was cool as hell, and he talked about college hoops, and he drank Blanton's, and he ripped heaters all day, and then he was the leader of the free world.
That was Obama for a minute.
We're talking about college basketball and ripping heaters.
Yeah. Remember, he used to, like, it was like a big deal when he quit smoking. I really do love his portrayal of this. I thought it's very clear that they set up the specifics of him just getting reelected president, plus being 5 years in the past. So they made that intentionally ambiguous to say, like, so he's not president, right? He's not, right? Because, like, if there is a thing coming, he's a former president. This is him in his retirement mode kind of thing. But there's something weird about it that makes it, that really does make it feel like, oh, is this person still in charge? You really don't know. And yeah, it is, I don't know. They make it intentionally confusing to put together a timeline, which feels, oh God, it's so This Is Us. Like, we're going to do the pilot at some point, but I could not watch This Is Us because they just kept screwing with my trust of the show. It's the most unreliable narrator show there is.
So one of the things that happens in this show is we very quickly learn that we're not supposed to trust anyone during the midst of this investigation. Like, Xavier literally says, I'm calling Billy because that's the only person I trust. There are multiple agents around. We hear a little bit about Jane and are sort of left with this mystery of what does Jane know or did not know.
Right.
In this, we understand that Billy possibly has a hand in this entire gigantic mystery. But we start to see these glimpses of these other characters, like Agent Robinson. This woman just goes by the name of Sinatra, who seems to be this powerful figure. It's very interesting to give us so much without so much explanation that seems necessary for us to be like, yeah, I'm definitely following everything that's happening right now. There were points in this where I was just like, did I fall asleep for 2 minutes when they said who this person and this person was?
No.
I trust Garcia. That's my boy.
Garcia's
because
the man.
he makes enough Pozzoli to share with everyone at the Secret Service.
Yes, he does.
He's willing to pull up any footage that Xavier Collins asks for at the drop of a hat and notices nuances in the footage that actually help lead to clues. He just seems like a fun, affable guy. Actually, Jeff, it's funny that you mentioned, did I fall asleep? Because as you know, I've got a 3-month-old at home, so I'm pretty tired watching a lot of these shows. And I was watching the pilot of this with my wife, and she fell asleep and woke up and was like, what did I miss? The last thing I remember was he got shot, he ate McDonald's, and showed off all of his outfits. And I was like, maybe this isn't the pilot. I don't know. Maybe I fell asleep too.
I mean, as we sort of think about towards the end of this pilot, right? We get the reveals of there's a few clues that are given to us of like, hey, you can't take anything, memorize every single detail you see. We start to hyper focus on those small details that we see, and it is such an interesting idea of trying to connect this to like what actually happened and why is Xavier not calling it in immediately. That was the part that was super intriguing to me, because at this point, our big reveal has not really happened. You might be thinking to yourself, if you haven't watched this pilot, and you're like, what's the big reveal? The president's dead. There's more.
I personally thought... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Rich.
I personally thought that exact moment where he doesn't call it in, where Xavier doesn't call it in, that's Sterling K. Brown's character, for those who haven't watched. I think the moment he doesn't call it in is where we get the watching someone be good at their job aspect of it, because he knows no one went in and out. So you can't alert the Secret Service. You can't alert the family. Those are the only people who have been in and out. And I think he does a good job of not making it a fiasco, and instead tries to control the situation. I think this also, and I'll probably be proven wrong later in the series about this, but it also feels like it proves Sterling K. Brown's innocence to me. And at that moment too, you get a couple red herrings. You get a couple, well, maybe red herrings. You know that one of the agents is fucking James Marsden's character, Cal, the president. You find out that Jane and Billy are passing something to each other clandestinely through their hands. And yeah, there's just like a lot of people who do go in and out, and the scene obviously of them going down to Angel to review the security footage.
Was that a pass off of something, or was that a hand touch? Was that like a romantic inclination?
I thought they were passing something.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because I thought it was a romantic thing as well, Max, but who knows? Maybe you have to watch more than the pilot.
Because if Billy is making you cover his shift because he has to go home and take a dump because he's blaming the pozole because he's got the white people tummy, and then you're also romantically involved with that guy, that asshole. I'm sorry, we need to have a discussion about this.
Max, wait a minute. You're telling me that you have never found yourself in a little bit of a tumultuous tummy time and asked your partner to help you something in the meantime.
Your daughter actually has to have tumultuous tummy time in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you were talking about red herrings, though, Rich, and I wanted to jump onto that because, for me, Paradise, the first 30-ish minutes of this, I'm not entirely sold by this out of linear order political thriller murder mystery, and then we start just dropping one big crumb after another. Yeah, we get that the president or former president of the United States is having relations with an agent who is employed by him, and that person is now interrogating Agent Collins, played by Sterling K. Brown. We get that he is the last person seen on the tapes, and there's a 90-minute gap in the video footage from the night of the murder that we don't know what happened. And then we get maybe my favorite little potential red herring or exposition line, which is a flashback scene of the black box, which we saw stolen from President Bradford's closet. We see that, and it is placed on the table with the line, "That's the most important box in the world," which if you say that line to me, I am sold. The moment that the box was placed on the table in front of Sterling K. Brown with "That's the most important box in the world," I said, yes, I will watch episode 2 of this show.
So I want to bring up two other things that we saw, because we get all of these flashbacks, right? We get this flashback at the beginning where we see Sterling K. Brown with this scar. If you're going to show me a gigantic scar on someone, you need to show me how that scar happens. And we see the attempt
got 20
at
minutes,
assassination.
Or this TV's going off.
And we also learn about the code name of Christian Leitner. Yes, it is March, so we have to bring up college basketball.
This is our basketball show.
The other one that really, there's this moment that I really liked, and it's another flashback, and I'm sorry that I really like the flashbacks. I am that type of person. But we get the flashback where we see this argument between Sterling K. Brown and James Marsden's characters. And you can tell that at some point in time, the trust between them disintegrated. There is the respect between them disintegrated.
Yep.
And it starts off with, when was the last time you called me sir? When did you stop calling me sir?
Right.
And that was when I was just like, we're about to see some big boy acting right now. And boy, did we get it. And with the ending line of, I'll forgive you when I can sleep, and I'll sleep again when you are dead. And I was like, holy shit. There was like probably silence in the room after that for a little bit. Everyone walked away, went to craft, got a snack, and then we're like, okay, let's film the next scene.
Yeah.
Because that then gave us the idea of what the fuck happened in this moment, and why is this situation? Why are we in this world? What is happening? Why is this day different than every other day? And to our audience, I think we have to do you the benefit of the doubt of saying, we're about to talk about something very large that happened in this pilot. And if you would like to not hear this happen, I'm going to put the time code in the description, but I'm also going to put the time code on the screen for our YouTube folks, and you can skip ahead to that. But, gentlemen, let's talk about the big reveal of what happens in this show. Max, I'm going to let you give us our reveal.
There is a teasing when the most important box in the world is placed on the table that there is preparation for a potential catastrophic doomsday event, an extinction level event. They are preparing to build an underground city in the mountains of Colorado. Something that is alluded to in the earlier assassination attempt as causing protests around the country. There's distrust of the American government around this. And we learned that we are living in paradise, the underground bunker city. Very similar to, what if that show, The Dome, was underground?
Under the dome.
Under the dome, under the ground dome.
Which we will cover. And yeah, at this point, when they reveal that, when you know that they are inside of a Rocky Mountain, what are you guys feeling in that moment? Are you throwing your phone down? Are you just like sitting there like, I am bought in? What is the feeling?
Can I genuinely tell
Please.
you both what I said? When I saw them flipping the fake ducks over in the pond, I said, Rich is losing his mind and angrily talking to his partner about what the fuck did I just watch?
All of my notes became caps lock at this point.
You are exactly right. I was furious when the ducks were fake.
When Rich saw those ducks flip over, he said, "Are you fucking serious?" and was screaming, probably aloud, waking up neighbors. And then Max texted us with 5 minutes to go. I got a text nearly midnight my time, and I was just like, "Oh, Max saw the ducks flip. Cool, we can talk about this tomorrow."
My notes in all caps become, why is there a secret message on the cigarette? What does dawn delayed by 2 hours mean? Doomsday event, underground city, reveal shot, just all caps lock thoughts. There is also one of my favorite things in all of showbiz, a minor key pop song needle drop. We get a slow, ballady minor key cover of Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins. Baby, Smooth Brain TV is back, and it is called Paradise on Hulu.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we've revealed it for the folks who maybe
there it is.
Maybe we're watching and waiting for me to give a hand signal. Hi, we're back, and you can listen again. I mean, that is our pilot. There are a lot of unanswered questions, which is to be expected with a show like this. But I'm curious, from the two of you, were there any things that you loved about this pilot that maybe you wanted to give a little bit more shine?
Oh, yeah. Number one, Sterling K. Brown's face control for his acting is like near robotic. It is insane how good he is at handling a close-up shot of him acting. He knows how to portray fear, distrust, anxiety. It is so impressive what he is able to do, and that they can feel comfortable enough to build scenes around him just being the only thing you see. It is literally like, I wasn't joking when I said 75% of the screen was his face. That is super impressive, especially with all the like 4K resolution HD stuff is like the norm now for TVs. That is super impressive. I really just thought he did an amazing job with that.
Max, what about yourself?
I mean, I think it has to be that, Dub TV is back in a big way, in a way that I don't know if we've really seen since the early 2000s. This scratches that itch for me of some of those types of shows we've done. If you were told me when this was coming out that, okay, it's a political thriller and Sterling K. Brown's a Secret Service agent and James Marsden's the president, I don't think I was super hyped on Paradise when I was seeing trailers. James Marsden has proved me so wrong. I don't know if he's a good U.S. president, but I love watching him in this show. I love all of the product placement for electric vehicles. There's just Rivians all over this show. Like all the Secret Service is driving Rivians. I love when there's just blatant product placement for like cool new brands. Like I've been watching St. Dennis Medical, and every single time they're in the break room, everyone's slamming poppies. Like everyone, every single day is drinking poppy on
the
that
probiotic
show.
soda, is that the one?
Yeah, and it's just so funny when it's like, here's some cool hip brand that really wanted their logo front and centered. Also, I shouldn't have, but when I realized that the code of the president being shot, Christian Leitner, is because of the story about Christian Leitner's being shot, I did laugh at that. I did laugh at the Secret Service code for James Marsden getting shot.
Wait, okay. So, Max, when you sat through an entire episode of 9/11 or 911, not 9/11, 911,
we all sat through 9/11. Right?
You didn't think that Dum Dum TV was back?
No, but here's the thing about 911 is that 911 is so extreme. It's this like Ryan Murphy intentional camp. It's playing like 911 almost exists in the same world as like a Baywatch, whereas this is playing into like prestige TV drama with this insane twist at the end. 911 shows you its cards from the first 30 seconds, whereas this is this slow burn, this slow reveal that feels so grounded, and then it just says, we're actually in this insane
crazy
world, and then the ducks are fake.
Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
We are a pro birds aren't real podcast.
Dawn will be delayed by 2 hours. 911 could never.
Yeah. I want to give my flowers to the performances in this show, but specifically in a show that is so serious, right? Like there are many moments that try to make it extremely serious and be
It's
like,
so serious.
you better take us fucking seriously. Like there are the performance by John Beavers as Billy, Agent Williams, is just so out of place, but you know what? He commits 100%. My man filmed a scene on the toilet and was just like, all right, I'm getting paid for this. And he nailed it. And I think that is sort of necessary to have this little bit of relief in such a serious show.
Well, he did have a little bit of relief. That's why he was filming on the toilet.
That Pozzoli. That Pozzoli sounds fucking bomb. Let's talk a little bit about wait a minute moments, things that caused you pause. And for me, if we're talking about the show as a pilot, there is something to say about there being almost too much exposition, like almost giving us too much in the beginning. I don't think we needed to meet Sinatra quite yet. We didn't need to meet Agent Robinson right at the beginning. It would have been really good to just be like, who the fuck is that? Like, who are they? What do they have to do? Why? Like, and then get a reveal maybe in episode 2 about them. But there's something to be said about being delicate about introducing characters and waiting for that moment. I think that this show does suffer from that idea of like, well, if we don't introduce them, then the executives might not want more of this, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Rich, I'm curious from your perspective.
For me, okay, number one has to be James Marsden's accent. I have maybe we have made accent coaches too accessible in Hollywood. That clearly the talent pool is watered down because what the hell is his accent in this? The main one though is like I should have realized when we watched this show that this guy created This Is Us because it is having the exact same feeling for me as This Is Us, where every reveal is like, ah, fuck, really? He just like, it wasn't exciting. It's just, ah, fuck, damn it. Like, it is like, it is truly like, I don't know. It's like the glass. It's like the glass game in Squid Game where they're like over. It's like, is this glass pane important? No. Is this glass pane important? No. This one is. All right, go with that. Now, is this one important? No. Fall to your death. And it's like, oh God, so much information, and he knows what he's doing. Is just like, it's like the way he writes, especially for This Is Us in this show. It just feels like when someone comes up to you and is like, dude, crazy tea, I got to tell you. And it's like, nah, I'm not going to tell you. And then walks away. And it's like, I don't give a shit what it is. You want to hear it. It's like, sure. It's not actually, it's conflating the importance of things. I don't know. What about you, Max?
I think for me, it's that there's too many resources from Hulu itself that are telling you what the twists are in this show before you even get a chance to watch it. Like if you like look up the episode descriptions on Hulu, it like tells you that there's been, catastrophic events and things. I think there's something to be said for letting a story unravel and actually catching an audience off guard versus luring you in by saying things like there's been a murder of a U.S. president and like a catastrophic event and things like that. Like, I don't know, just like trust an audience that we're going to check out a show or that word of mouth is going to carry something because like everyone is talking about this show. Like I see so much stuff about Paradise on social media and I didn't know about some of these details. And then the second I go to Hulu, it's all laid out there for me. And it's like, I don't know. I was finding out from word of mouth. I was excited to check it out. And then I kind of knew what I was getting going into it. And I don't know, just let secrets be secrets. Let twists happen organically. Trust word of mouth. Trust that people will watch shows. We don't need to be spoon-fed twists written out.
Well, we do have one more question, gentlemen. Ooh. And that is an in-flight question. Our in-flight question this week came in from Alex of Ohio. And Alex asked, what's the deal with Jane? Do we trust her? Do we think that she's up to no good? But I want to expand this. And Alex, thank you so much for your question, because we did get a little bit of Jane. We did get a little bit of a reason to suspect Jane of maybe doing and being up to no good. But I'm curious if you have someone that you think, based off of our 48-minute pilot, that you think killed the president. Did we meet them? Or are they just out there and we have to watch episode 2 to find them?
If I know this showrunner well enough, we did not meet anyone involved in this yet. And that is so fucking frustrating. I cannot tell you. These are a bunch of people who are super inconsequential. The Billy and Jane touching hands is probably them passing each other. It's like, we don't have Netflix down here in the fucking dome. So
I hope he watched his hands.
Yeah, dude's got shit Pozzola hands.
Max, what about yourself?
Oh, no, I have no idea who murdered the president because we have not met them yet. This show's already been renewed for a second season, so there's no way we're giving away that big of a detail in season 1. That's how you get those sweet Disney bucks for season 2, is you don't tell them who murdered the president.
Yeah, I really hope both of you are right that we have not met the murderer, the assassin of the president, because it's a little bit more fun that way to find out, like, oh, what actually happened? You would never guess or never understand. I hope there's 3 or 4 more twists ready to go.
But Alex, I do want to answer your question. I don't just want to like blow you off entirely here. I think that Jade is one of the few people who can be trusted off of the pilot. And I say that only because she's one of the few characters that we just like don't see in an interrogation setting, and I feel like I don't know, maybe I'm naive here, but she actually seems to have camaraderie with Collins, like on the outside of the building as well. It feels like a situation of like a younger mentor-mentee relationship. He's not letting her in on a lot, but I think it's more of like a status thing. I would be really surprised if she's a rug pull in this one, but again, maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen,
We'll never know.
Alex, thank you first for that
Yeah, thank you,
awesome
Alex.
question. We'll talk a little bit more about how to submit those at the end of the episode. But let's talk about the history of this show. Super short, super sweet. One season in 8 episodes, but as of February 25th,
400 surfboards.
this show got renewed for a second season. So we're getting more Paradise, whether we like it or not.
We got
that is-
2 seasons of Paradise.
So as far as
We've got more Paradise, whether you like it or not, is the most sinister thing ever said on this podcast.
so I do have some actually interesting things to talk about as far as the history. This show made me learn about a new product. It's actually called Just Watch. So Just Watch allows you to see streaming behavior of viewers around the world, and you can actually look on a country by country basis as well. So this show for about 2 weeks was the most streamed show in the United States and in Canada. And according to Walt Disney, in the first 7 days of this show, they got 7 million viewers, which is really pretty solid for a streaming service.
Incredible that he chimed in on the streaming data.
And then the other part is this show not only debuted on Hulu, but it also debuted on ABC and FX.
Oh, it did? Oh, thank God, because this show needed to be on network so bad.
Like, Disney literally looked at this and was just like, one of these networks has to work for us. I'm really excited for Paradise to show up on ESPN2 to make up for the lack of baseball coverage.
There's a lot of talk about college basketball in it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I find it really interesting that we're coming back up to this conversation of Disney just keeps on saying, that streamer might have something, so let's put it on TV and fill some slots rather than
just put it on ABC. This show needs to be seen by like 70-year-olds across the heartland of America.
I need ad breaks in this show. I think that an ad break would hit like crack on this show where you're just where he says
where you're just like ready to throw the remote through the TV ad break.
Where like I'm literally like, I'll sleep when you're dead, and then just I get a Geico commercial and I'm like, fuck yeah, and then
I need to fall asleep and the 10 p.m. news is on.
Oh my gosh. Well, that is the history of the show. Rich, it is time for your game of the week.
Well, speaking of Christian Leitner, we got some 1992 Dream Team trivia.
Fuck yes.
Let's go.
Yeah, you little piggies eat up this slop. Oh, shit. All right. So, yeah, we're talking about the greatest basketball team ever assembled. Thanks to James Marsden's college basketball remarks in this pilot, this team was put together for the 1992 Barcelona Olympics and the America Cup or America Games or whatever the hell that other tournament was called. All right. So, which of these facts about the Dream Team are false? A, every single member of the Dream Team is in the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. B, every game they played in both tournaments, they won at least by 30. C, Christian Leitner, a college athlete chosen as a nod to the previous rules of Olympic drafting, was the only player that was not an active NBA player. Or D, all are false.
God, that's a really good question, Rich. I assume you've been catching up on your Court of Gold about the most recent.
I'm going to say that A is the false statement.
Yeah, I want to say A, but I think that Christian Leitner might be in the Naismith for the Duke, for his time at Duke. So I am going to say, you know what? Fuck it. I get this wrong all the time. I'm going to say A as well. Let's go.
Well, Jeff, your initial Insight
Instinct?
was correct. He is in the Naismith Hall of Fame. It's kind of a trick question because he's in it because of the Dream Team.
Yeah.
But C is correct. Christian Laettner was not the only inactive
Who was it?
NBA player. It was Magic Johnson, who had just retired because of his AIDS diagnosis.
Oh,
So
inactive.
Oh,
NBA. I was thinking of just college athletes.
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
yep.
It's a fun
that's right.
question. I had fun writing it.
That's a really
You
solid
piggies
question.
eat up this slop.
Dark twist. Paradise to be proud.
Yeah.
All right, back to Christian Laettner. Despite being picked for the Dream Team over many other top college athletes in a stacked 1992 draft, what pick was he in the 1992 draft? Was it A, second, B, third, C, sixth, or D, seventh?
I'm gonna say C, sixth.
I think he was the third pick.
He was
draft.
the third overall pick. Is Shaquille O'Neal
Timberwolves.
and Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah, and then he was drafted by the Timberwolves.
That's
and
right.
That went great. A plus. Actually, fun fact about I'm going to throw in a fact about this.
Please.
When Christian Laettner was for a very small period of time on the bench, like way in the back of the bench of the Miami Heat, and it was the first instance ever of the first, second, and third round pick of any draft being on one NBA team, which is just
cool.
It's what a fun fact, but it's also so fucking cool.
Wait,
to be
oh,
like,
Jeff, are you bleeding?
I am bleeding.
Wait, what?
Are you bleeding?
Let's talk about that another time. And this is
Boy,
That's a paradise level cliffhanger for this audio medium.
Wait, hold on a second. So if you didn't go join us on YouTube for me driving hot laps at Spa last week, please join us on YouTube to see why is Jeff bleeding, which we will hold.
At what point did I start bleeding?
Is that question of the week or game of the week?
Game of the week. At what point did Jeff start bleeding? Was it 15 minutes in, 30 minutes in, or 45 minutes into the podcast?
Good God.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
And okay, final question. Now it doesn't seem as important now, but the scoring leader for the Dream Team in the Olympics was A, Charles Barkley, B, Clyde Drexler, C, Michael Jordan, D, Patrick Ewing.
It was Charles Barkley.
That's right. Big San Antonio himself, Charles Barkley. That is correct, Jeff.
Round mound of rebound.
Yeah. Do we need to get medical attention? What's going
No,
on?
we
here?
do not.
Okay.
Well, Rich, thank you so much for that
so welcome.
game of the week.
We're going to do this podcast uploaded out of order in Dan Fogelman style. So Jeff's bleeding at the beginning, and then we figure out why he's bleeding in next week's episode.
Oh, my God. Well, gentlemen, our flight is starting to come to a land. But before we
it had to get
go-
rerouted because you're bleeding.
Yeah, no, we had to make an emergency landing. Before we go, I have two questions for each of you. And the first question is, why am I bleeding? No, in all honesty.
Is it A, picked a scab, B,
bruised his knuckle? No, in all honesty,
shit.
it is first. Based off of the pilot and the pilot alone, would you watch more Paradise? Were you intrigued? Were you wanting more answers to your questions? As Rich said, do you want that slop? Do you want that smooth brain slop to fill up your time? And the second question that I have for
Oink.
each of you is, streaming continues to put shit on TV and put shit on network television. And I am here to ask you, do you think this show should just be a network TV show that happens to stream occasionally, or the season comes at the end, or Hulu next day? Max, I'm going to start with you because you got really excited when I asked that second question.
If you asked me at 10 minutes in, I would have said no. If you asked me at 20 minutes in, I would have said no. If you asked me at 30 minutes in, I would have said no. If you asked me from 40 minutes to the end, I said a resounding hell yes. This is a show that when it kicks into gear, I am hooked. It is such a goofy throwback to early 2000s thrillers. If you like stuff like Alias, Lost, 24, stuff that's just like so over the top and you have to like see how it gets pieced together, you will appreciate this show. And yes, this should just be on network TV. I know Hulu, for the most part, with the exception of a couple of things like The Bear, does tend to drop episodically or at least like a couple episodes up front and then once a week after that. But no, I need a full week of seeing commercials for next week's episode every time I watch Jeopardy at 7 o'clock. I need Paradise to exist in true network fashion so bad, and Disney is doing a disservice by putting the show behind a paywall and not on basic network at 9 o'clock on Thursday nights.
Rich, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm watching more.
He's so sad. He's like,
bitch.
I'm sophisticated. No, he is smooth brain just like the rest of us.
I cannot help the feeling of Lucy pulling away the football all fucking every goddamn week. I will watch the show until he burns my trust, like I did This Is Us, and he got 2 seasons of This Is Us out of me. So good for him, you swindler. We can continue to use the streamers as like a minor leagues for network TV. It can't just be that dude who keeps making the shows about oil rigging or whatever the hell.
Inman?
Yeah. That's just one of them. And that's a spinoff. It can't just be those shows. Test out the slop before you feed it to your piggies, I guess.
Yeah, and Rich, first, I already watched episode 2, so jokes on you too.
I am shocked that you were able to hold that in.
Yeah, jokes on you.
That's why he's bleeding.
Something happens in episode 2.
Yeah, but he would be bleeding out of the eyes, Max.
Oh my god. No, I watched episode 2. This show has something that, Max, you hit on. It has that early 2000s, I have to see what happens next. And it has something that we haven't talked about in a while, which is it has that water cooler feeling. It has that feeling of I could go into an office and say, did y'all see what the fuck happened on Paradise last night?
Right.
And everyone would stop in their tracks and be like, holy shit, let's not work for the next 10 minutes and just talk about this show. As far as network TV versus streaming, and we keep on bringing this up because it keeps on fucking happening. I think that it is a case where there's something to be said if you see good enough numbers on a streaming service for your show. Like if Paradise, let's just say we wait the appropriate 4 months, and which is the amount of time that 8 episodes would probably take for this type of show, given everything that happens. And March is sort of a dead month for TV because of March Madness. I think that you have to sort of give the show the opportunity to go to the big leagues and start on network and then show the replays on streaming the next day. And I hope we start to see, hey, guess what? Paradise is going to be an ABC primetime show. If you want to catch up on the first season, you can catch it on Hulu, sort of thing, because this show has what it takes. It just needs to change its language a little bit. They say the F word in this show so many fucking times that it is wild. And that's the only thing that I would change. That is the only thing that really needs to change in this episode for us to be able to be like, yep, network TV, go and have a fun time. It's a small change. There's a lot of different synonyms that you can use. Buy a fucking thesaurus.
You said the word.
But gentlemen, that is our flight. Before I ask you where the audience can find you, I'm really excited to say, Max, you know, they say that basketball is my favorite sport. I like it when they dribble up and down the court. We're going to be doing Running Point next week starring Kate Hudson, and I cannot wait to talk more about this show. If you want to watch it before you listen, it is on Netflix, but we're honoring March Madness, baby. We're going to be talking about basketball and potential lawsuits between the Bus family and Netflix, or at least Pepperdine and Netflix. With that being said, though, gentlemen, our flight has come to a land, and I'd like folks to know where they can find the two of you. Rich, where can folks find you?
You can find me being America's funniest president. You can also find me on Instagram at Damn That's Rich. You can find original sketch comedy from Max and myself on Instagram and TikTok at Dadwagon Comedy.
Max, where can folks find you?
You can catch me learning everything about the Kentucky Wildcats for President James Marsden. You can find me on all things social media at Maxwell Sig.
And you can catch me bleeding, but if you're looking for me on social media, you can find me at Run Jeff Run. If you're looking for the TV Pilot's License, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also watch our smiling faces on YouTube and follow us on social media if it is available for you. If you have a question about the show or for our next episode, you can always submit them at tvpilotslicense.com. You can give us a text or shoot us a voicemail at 213-290-1713. You can also always get into those DMs. Make sure to watch out for some of the sneak previews of some of the stuff we have coming up, including Running Point on Netflix. But with the plane landed and the seatbelt sign off, we look forward to flying the bright skies of the TV world with you soon. Until next time,
the ducks are fake.
On the skies and your fingers on the dial, and enjoy another day in paradise.
The ducks are